You must win people to yourself before you can win them to Christ. And so when we show ourselves friendly, build relationship, reach out and identify with people, you can't be afraid to touch people. Jesus reached out and touched lepers. He was not afraid to touch people, to touch them right where they were. And he touched them and made contact with them. But if people like you, they'll help you. If they don't like you, they'll help you fail. And just remember this principle, that God's answer to every problem is always a person. It's always a person. Remember, the problem is always the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing. And God's answer is the right person in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So God's answer to every problem is always a person. I'm telling you, if you'll think about your life, the things that have set you back, the things that have messed you up, I bet you can trace that thing back to a two-legged human being, and you will realize that I would have been much better off had I never met, you fill in the blank. So the problem is always a person, but the answer is also a person. And so if the answer to every problem is a person, you don't ever know which person holds your answer. So it behooves you to treat everybody nicely. Some of you are missing your answer because you don't know how to connect with the people, or you don't know how to maintain those relationships. And so I want to help you to change that. Because if I didn't meet people who think big, if I didn't meet people who do big things, if I didn't meet people who were broader than I am, how can I ever grow bigger? If everybody in my world is a small thinker. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of all of your small thinking friends. It does mean that you need to include one or two big thinkers. Just one person is enough. You ought to always keep somebody in your life who challenges you to do more, challenges you to be more. They pulled the best out of me. A real best friend is a person who brings the best out of you. You are limited to the quality of people who surround you. And I want you to do some real soul searching and start thinking, who are the people that are in the circles of my life? And if you are the smartest person in your group is too small. You need to embrace somebody who's got it on a bigger level than what you do. I always keep folks in my life who are on a bigger level than I am. And if I didn't, I would start shrinking in my own thinking ability. You see, the law of the inner circle. Say the law of the inner circle. It simply says this. The law of the inner circle says that those closest to you determine your level of success. Those closest to you determine your level of success. If you've got people who are in your inner circle that don't believe in you, they ought to be put out. If they are talking down to you, if they don't believe in your vision, in what God has given you, who He has called you to be, they don't know what God told you to do. It is so possible to grow up in a house and the very people that you grew up in the house with don't have an inkling of an understanding of the gift of God that is on the inside of you. But it pays to be able to come in contact with great people. But I want you to get this very clearly. It pays much more to emulate their disciplines. It pays much more to emulate their disciplines. May I just tell you this, that a millionaire in money is nothing compared to being a millionaire in friends. And everyone can be this, provided that you keep those friends when you make them. And let me say this to you unequivocally, that the thoughtfulness in the little things is the best way to keep them. Just the thoughtfulness in the little things is the best way to keep them. Please don't have a relationship and insult that relationship by only contacting the person when you need something from them. That's insulting. It is saying that I don't value you as a person, I want to use you. Listen, you don't use people, you use things. and love people. You don't love things and use people. You use things and love people. You don't use people. And it sends the wrong message to a person when you contact them, and you are always contacting them only when you need something from them. Yeah, have you ever noticed those numbers that come up on your telephone and you say, oh God, what they want now? Now let me give you a great acrostic for human relations. Human relations. Write human relations on your paper vertically, coming down vertically. And we're going to use this as an acrostic. Human relations. The H, right out here, have self-control. Have self-control. Have self-control. If you're going to maintain a great relationship with people, you got to be able to control yourself. It can't be always about you. There are certain things that you can't just say whatever comes up, comes out. You got to have self-control. You will offend too many people. You know that line in the movie where it says you can't handle the truth? You have to have self-control. Self-control. Say self-control. Have self-control. The first H, have self-control. Here's the U. Understand other people's point of view. Understand other people's point of view. Understand other people's point of view. You've got a point of view, but you need to understand other people's point of view. That's what the word dialogue means. Say dialogue. It is the word dialogos, which means literally flow of meaning. You don't get a flow of meaning until you dialogue with a person. You don't understand what they have understood that you said until you have a dialogue. When they say back to you or interpret in their own words what you said, now you can understand what whether they understood you or not. When you do that, that is helping to maintain great relationships. Wouldn't you agree? So H, have self-control. U, understand other people's point of view. M, make others' interest your own. Make others' interests your own. It's hard to connect with people when their interests are their interests and your interests are your interests, and you take no interest in what another person is doing. When you love somebody, when you really love somebody, what interests them ought to interest you. I mean, I couldn't love my wife and she's into music, and I'm not into music the way that she's into music. But I have to take an interest in music if I want to be able to communicate with her. There are times that I'm talking to her, she is humming and just got all stuff, headphones on, doing all kind of stuff, you know. And so I have to be able to come into her world of interest. So if something is of interest to her, it becomes of interest to me. And so I make that a point of interest to me if we're going to maintain great relationship. Otherwise, it creates a wedge in our relationship, and she's doing her thing and then I'm doing my thing. But even if it's not your particular like, develop an interest in it. Develop an interest in it. Here's the A. Admit when you're wrong. Admit when you're wrong. This is great for human relations. Admit when you're wrong. Boy, men have the worst time admitting when they're wrong. Now, I would admit when I'm wrong if I was ever wrong. I mean, I was wrong one time, but then I was mistaken. But you admit when you're wrong. That's the A. Here's the N. Never criticize publicly. Never criticize publicly. These are just great principles for you to be able to have that help you in your relationships with other people. Please don't take your spouse out, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and criticize them in front of other folks. Don't take an employee, another worker out, and criticize them in front of other people. Listen, you praise publicly, you criticize or correct privately. Don't criticize people in public. Somebody comes out in public and you see them at school and like, man, what in the world is that you got on? And now you embarrass them in front of everyone. No. Wait until they get home. Call them, text them, Twitter them, whatever it is necessary. But don't do it in public. Do it privately. It's like, are you colorblind? Who coordinated that for you? Your 2-year-old? Never criticize publicly. Here's the aura of relations. Reason, don't argue. Reason, don't argue. Have you ever noticed that when people argue, that they become irrational? And you cannot reason with an irrational person? So the key is, in your human relations, reason, don't argue. Here's the E. Explain thoroughly. Explain thoroughly. Don't leave a whole lot of things to their imagination. Explain thoroughly. Explain thoroughly. Here's the L. Lead, don't drive. Lead, don't drive. When you lead people, you get out in front, and following has to almost be voluntary. Jesus comes in front of us. He leads the way, and we follow. The devil gets behind us and drives us with compulsions. He forces, he coerces. But you see, Jesus is gentle. He gets in front and he leads. We have to willingly follow him. He's not going to make anybody follow him. So you lead, don't drive. It is demonic to drive people. That's the way that Satan operates. Lead, don't drive. Here's the A. Avoid snap judgment. Avoid snap judgments. You know how when people just see you, and have you ever met somebody and they just look at somebody and say, I don't like her? It's a snap judgment, or just based on the way that a person is dressed or the way their hair is, they are instantly making a judgment about that person, and that may not be who that person is. I have seen some people that, you know, the church folks would just really turn their lip up at because they are tatted up, they are pierced all over, and then I have found this is one of the sweetest human beings that I've ever met. Don't make snap judgments. Don't make snap judgments. Avoid snap judgments. Here's the T. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I don't think that needs any explanation. Here's the I. Inform people of matters affecting them. Inform people of matters affecting them. Inform people of matters affecting them. Here's the O. Offer helpful suggestions. Offer helpful suggestions. If you ever really want to be a blessing to somebody, offer helpful suggestions. You see something that could be improved, offer helpful suggestions. Here's the N. Never forget to give compliments for a job well done. Never forget to give compliments for a job well done. Now, this doesn't have to be somebody who's working for you. If your children do a job well, compliment them on it. If you go to a restaurant and the server does an excellent job, compliment him or her on the job well done. It doesn't matter. If somebody processes your loan application expeditiously, compliment them on it. Just compliment them, encourage them. And then here's the S in human relations, is stress the positive. Stress the positive. Stress the positive. And you'll be surprised if you do those little principles, how they will really ameliorate the relationships that are in your life. I love something that Stanley Allen said, that the most useful person in the world today is the man or the woman who knows how to get along with other people. And he says that human relations is the most important science in living. Just knowing how to get along with people. You don't know how valuable that is. Ministry is people. I have met some people who are in ministry that act like they don't like people. But ministry is people. Ministry is people. I know that some people are challenging, but ministry is people. Let me give you a few principles here. The first one here is called the lens principle. Lens, like the lens of a glass. Lens principle. And this is what this principle simply states, is that who we are determines how we see others. Who we are determines how we see others. Perception is stronger than reality. Perception is stronger than reality. Did you know that there are 5 basic things that determine who we are? Number 1, your genetics. Your genetics. Number 2, your self-image. I love something that T.S. Eliot said. He said, half of the harm that is done in this world is due to people who want to feel important. Half of the harm that is done in this world is due to people who want to feel important. There's some people that are okay until you give them position or title, and they turn into a monster because they want to feel important. They have some self-image problems. Here's another thing that determines who we are. Not only our genetics, not only our self-image, but also our experiences in life. Your experiences in life. You know, if you had experienced various things, it will affect how you treat other people. You remember the boy who cried wolf? You know, and then he started crying wolf, and then at first everybody in the town ran out to his rescue. And then they, based on the experience, they said, oh, you know what? It's a false alarm. That joker just playing. He's just fooling us. And then when a real wolf comes, they won't respond because of the previous experiences that they've had. So your experiences in life will determine who you are. Number 4, your attitudes and choices about those experiences. Your attitudes and choices about those experiences. And then also who determines who we are your friends. The people that you choose to spend time with will change who you are. The people that you choose to spend time with will change who you are. Not only are you known by the company that you keep, you are also known by the company that you shun. You are known by those folks that are in your circle. So that's the lens principle. Now, there's another principle called the mirror principle. And this simply says that the first person that we must examine is ourselves. It's the man in the mirror. It's the woman in the mirror. Coping with difficult people is always a problem, especially if the difficult person happens to be you. There's a principle that's called the elevator principle. And it simply says that we can lift people up or we can take people down in our relationship. You've heard me say for years, people are just like elevator buttons. They'll take you up, down, or get you stuck. So learn to encourage other people around you. Express gratitude. Show appreciation to people. Because people need to be lifted. They want to be lifted. And it's a great opportunity to take somebody who's weak, who has fallen, and to help them back up, to give them a hand up, encouragement, advice. Sometimes you don't know what little thing that God will use you to do that will actually help to lift someone else to another level. Then there's a hammer principle. Here's the hammer principle. Never use a hammer to swat a fly off of someone's head. Never use a hammer to swat a fly off of someone's head. I love something that Dorothy Neville said. She says that the real art of conversation is not only to say the right thing in the right place, but to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment. And you know, whenever you're dealing with people, that you ought to take what's called the 30-second reprimand rule. You unload on them for 30 seconds and it's over. 30 seconds. Don't go on for 2 hours. Not 30 minutes. I mean, that just damages people. It's just like setting them on fire and just watching them burn. 30 seconds. Whatever you need to say negative to 30 seconds. Put a limit on it. Put a limit on it. Because, you know, once you start bringing up one thing, it'll stir up another emotion, and you'll be thinking about something else, and boy, you can blast things. You hear people arguing, for 45 minutes just blasting each other. Let them have it for 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and then shut it down. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Never. Can I give you all some tips that'll help you in your relationships at work? Here's some things, and I want you to evaluate yourself in these very, very simple principles. Number 1, radiate a cheerful, enthusiastic attitude or disposition. Radiate a cheerful attitude at work. Just be cheerful. Now, these are things that won't cost you any money, but they'll bless you and make you likable on your job, not only to other co-workers, but also to management. Just be cheerful. Be cheerful. Act like you're glad to be there. I know it may not be the best job, but you know, there are some folks that don't have a job at all. And part of something is better than all of nothing. It really is. Just be glad. Just radiate a cheerful attitude. Be glad you've got a job. Number two, arrive at work a few minutes early and stay a few minutes late. Some people is like at a racing car. It's like they start revving up their engines 30 minutes prior to departure. I mean, you know, they start packing up an hour ahead of time. You get ready to go into some people's place of employment. If you need some help, it's like, I'm sorry. We're closing for the day. It's like, but excuse me, but it's like I've got another 45 minutes. Excuse me. Here's a third thing that'll really help you. Follow instructions. It's real simple. Just follow instructions. Follow instructions. Here's number 4. Do more than is expected. Just do more than is expected of you. It'll make you exceptional on your job. Do more than is expected of you. And then do something to help those around you. Help your coworkers. Do something to help those around you. Here's something real simple. Be respectful. Just be respectful. Be respectful to your other coworkers. Be respectful to management. Just be respectful. Be respectful to those that might be under your leadership. Be respectful. Be respectful. Here's number 7. Express gratitude. Express gratitude. Just thank them for the opportunity to serve there. Just thank them. It's better than not having a job and the stress of having to be out there looking for one. Express gratitude. And here's number 8. Have a teachable spirit. Have a teachable spirit. Here's what an arrogant attitude says, is no one can teach me anything. Here's what a naive attitude says, someone can teach me everything. But here's what a teachable attitude says, everyone can teach me something. Everyone can teach me something. Have a teachable spirit. Radiate a cheerful attitude. Arrive at work a few minutes early, stay a few minutes late. Follow instructions. Do more than is expected. Do something to help those around you. Be respectful. Express gratitude. Have a teachable spirit. It'll change your life. I dare you to become genuinely interested in other people. I dare you to smile more often. I dare you to be a good listener. I dare you to treat people the way that they want to be treated. I dare you to respect others. I dare you to compliment other people. I dare you to express gratitude more. I dare you to believe in people's potential and then encourage them to reach that potential. I dare you to care for people who have nothing to give you in return. I dare you. I really do. I dare you. May I just tell you this, that there's some people who live life real conservatively. And instead of playing to win, they simply play not to lose. And may I tell you this? In Luke chapter 5, I want you to dare for more. Dare for more in your life. Stop being satisfied with such little ideas. Stretch yourself. I'm still learning. I'm still learning in my life. I learn so much from people from all walks of life. In every nation that I visit, every person that I meet is a treasure chest. There's something that they know and that they have experienced that I have not. And there is a treasure that is in them that I need to mine out of their life. And it helps me to be able to grow. And let me just tell you that when Jesus, in the 5th chapter of the book of Luke, told his disciples to let down their nets for a drought, there were fish in that lake. And he told them to let down their nets, plural, for a drought. That was a network. You didn't handle a net by yourself. You needed a partner. He said, let down your nets for a drought. And you'll discover that the Bible says that their nets were breaking. And they had to signal to their partners in another ship, in another boat, to come and help them until both of the boats were sinking. Say breaking nets and sinking boats. Now here's the deal. Had they had more nets or networks, they could have caught more fish. They didn't get nearly the fish that were in that lake that they could have gotten had they had more nets. Jesus specifically told them, let down your nets, plural. Here's what they said back to him: I will let down the net. They didn't go far enough. They were not equipped with enough to expect more because they had fished all night and didn't catch anything. But this time they went out at his word. And when you do it at his word, he knows where the fish are. And you can fish all night and come up empty and have the conclusion that there's nothing out there that's biting. But maybe you were in the wrong place in the lake, on the lake. And maybe you weren't equipped for it. And he tells you to let down your nets. Let me just tell you this. Jesus said, pray that the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth more laborers. He said the harvest truly is plenteous, and the laborers are few. He says if you'll just dare to do more, if you'll get more help. Had they had another boat that they could have called, maybe they could have brought in even more fish. And may I tell you that these fish are lost souls that are out in our world today. And we've got too many people trying to act as lone rangers instead of partnering up with somebody else and said, come on, will you allow me to work with you, and maybe together that we can bring in something that will be a wonderful harvest unto our Lord. The harvest truly is plenteous. He said pray. There were very few things that Jesus ever said pray for. He said pray that the Lord of the harvest would send forth laborers. He said I need workers to go out here and bring this harvest, to reap these souls. I need workers. I need workers. Will you dare to dream bigger than you've ever dreamed in evangelistic efforts? Will you dare to reach more souls than you've ever reached before in a long time? When was the last time that you brought somebody to Jesus?
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Until next time, God bless you.